Of more now, we're joined by Bishop Angaelos, who's General Bishop of the Coptic Orthodox Church here in the UK. Thanks so much for coming into the studio. A terrible day for your church. Have you been in touch with people over in Egypt and been speaking to them? What have they said?
I have. I've spoken to a lot of people. I spoke to the Bishop of Tanta himself and got an idea of what was going on. Of course, it's a very painful day. A day that should have been a day of celebration, a family day where children are playing with their palms and they go into church, they pray liturgy and they come out as families. And it's tragic that someone or numerous people found that it was appropriate to target others who were most vulnerable when they're standing in a place of worship and praying.
And the reasons behind the attack, I mean, obviously analysts go into this in great detail, but it does seem to be along the lines of trying to sow the seeds of sectarianism in Egypt, which has already got problems of that sort.
Well, sectarianism, actually, I don't think is a word that truly depicts the situation in Egypt. Sectarianism is where you have two groups that are locked in some sort of combat, whereas what we see in Egypt is a Christian numeric minority that has been on the receiving end of religiously motivated persecution and attacks. And so there has been an attempt after attempt of sowing these seeds, but it's not going to happen. Every time the Christians have reacted with a sense of forgiveness, anger, of course, but not a violent retaliation. And so if this is the agenda, it's not going to work. What is clear, however, is that it is a targeting of a numeric minority for its religious background as a soft target, because we also see attacks on other sectors of the community.
Should security have been tightened at various churches across Egypt, bearing in mind it was a particularly religious day, that it, you know, you've just described churches as being soft targets. I think the church in Tanta that was attacked, a bomb had been found in it the previous week. Do Christians feel that the security surrounding their places of worship is not good enough?
So we had two attacks today. One that was inside the church in Tanta, and the other, as we saw in your footage, that was an attempted attack, and the detonation happened outside because of security. We have 3,000 churches in Egypt. As we saw here in London 2 weeks ago or in Stockholm last week, it's virtually impossible to protect and secure every place. And our hearts go out to the security officers who lost their lives as well, protecting the church. But where there is a will for evil and attacks, there is going to be a way. What we all, of course, want is a sense of equal citizenship, a sense of a robust system of law and order that holds people accountable, where there are convictions and where there is an attempt to turn people away from committing these crimes because they know that there will be repercussions.
And do you feel that is not happening in Egypt at the moment?
It hasn't been, but we do see a tightening up at the moment. I think in the spate of all of these happening, we do see a greater seriousness put on these attacks. And they are attacks on a whole community. I think it would be very wrong to see this only as an attack on Christians. Of course, Christians are the target. But an attack on any community is an attack on the whole community. And I think communities are only as strong and as successful as they are able to protect every person in the community, Christian or Muslim, or indeed atheist or anyone.
And how do you think Christians in Egypt are going to respond now to these latest attacks? We've already seen many families fleeing certain areas, the northern Sinai, for example, where attacks have been carried out. Is there going to be a fear about practicing their religion, about going to church, do you think?
Well, obviously not, because only months after the attack in Cairo, our churches are full again, and that's why there was such devastation today. Christians are not going to stop practicing. Christians are not going to leave Egypt. What they are going to do, however, is realize that they are more vulnerable and more susceptible to these attacks. I've heard stories where families have huddled in their sitting rooms and prayed together before going to church because they may not return. In Sinai, that was a different situation where there was an effective ethnic cleansing of the area, and so scores of families have had to leave, but they've gone internally to other governorates in other areas. Whatever number of Christians we've seen living in Egypt, it's been a very small proportion. If we're speaking about 10 to 15% of the community, we're speaking about 13 million Christians. We've seen hundreds of thousands leaving, by no means millions. We're not a diaspora community. We're a community that is still 90% in Egypt. And so I think there is a real resilience, and it makes me very proud to be part of a community that is on the receiving end of such aggression and yet has not reacted violently, and long may that last.
Bishop Angaelos, appreciate you coming in. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.